Ashwin Goyal himself. So, Ashwin is a seasoned expert in analytics and product management. He has experience. He's working as a at HRS Group, Udan, Oyo, and Hyperwatch. He was previously working with Oyo and Hyperwatch. As an experienced mentor, he is mentoring with us as well. He has guided thousands of data analysts, um, and he has inspired a lot of people as well. Sorry, guys, there will be background noise. I'm so sorry. Um, okay. So before we begin, I request you all to just write in your educational background and your current experience in the chat box so that we can understand you guys better. We can understand the diversity of audience and we can take the session in the right direction such that it caters to most of you. So please start writing your educational background, your current experience. You can also write what are you expecting from today's masterclass. And now I would like to hand it over to Ashwin.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Tavleen, for the introduction. And thanks for bringing us up to speed with the session here. Let's start. Right. I see a lot of responses in the chat. We have people from all different kinds of backgrounds, statistics and computing, BTech, CSC, third year, okay, working as a business analyst, 9 years of experience in procurement. All right. So two things. One is your educational background, and second is your experience, right? Work experience. How many years of work experience and in what domain, right? Maybe that. So if you can write everyone, if you can write that in the chat, that will be really helpful. Right. And I see more responses. So educational background and work experience, just these two things, everyone in the chat. Let's see. And what does this do? This basically helps me understand and get an idea of your requirements or your background, of course, and your requirements from this session, or your the goal you aim to achieve through this session, right? So that's what this gives me an idea of. BCom computer applications, mechanical engineering with 2 years of experience as a programmer analyst, digital cartography. Pretty interesting. Information technology, 1 year data analyst, master of science. Makes sense. So very, very different backgrounds, right? I see maybe healthcare, fintech, banking, and BCom, design background. Of course, BTech and BCom, right? Obviously, and MCA, BCA, BSc agriculture. Very, very different backgrounds, and everyone, the next question I would have for everyone is, what do you aim to achieve through this session? What's your goal? And I'm trying to understand this because I want to help you achieve that goal, right? I want to help you move towards that goal. So what do you aim to achieve? Why are you here today? What do you seek from this session today? Okay. Upgrade. Okay, upgrade in terms of what? Upgrade in terms of money, upgrade in terms of skills, can be anything, right? What do you aim to achieve through this session? What's your goal for this session? Okay, all right. Land a data analyst job as a fresher, educational background, that is fine. Data engineer work profile, leverage from others. Okay, better understanding of Power BI data visualization, upgrade in terms of skill, upgrade skills and career, getting a job in data analytics, enhance my BI profile or Power BI skills. All right. Pretty interesting, right? So I intend to help you achieve these goals. That's my goal also for this session. And believe me, I was in your place some time back, right? And I intend to help you learn from my mistakes. The goal is to enable you make that switch, right? Or to upskill. If you are already a data analyst, how do you become a better data analyst? How do you become, let's say, a successful data analyst, right? And secondly, if you're not, of course, in data analytics, then how do you get into data analytics? Yeah. So I will just start with my background very briefly first, and then we, move to the later to the next part of the session. So I'll be your host for today. I'm Ashwin. I'm a product manager at HRS Group. I manage a bunch of data science teams here, and these teams basically build AI products, right? For example, one of the products I'm building is conversational AI. Then I manage a product known as the recommendation engine, which recommends hotels to companies. So essentially, these are some of my products. And HRS is a global B2B travel company. Prior to this, I was a product analyst at Udan. Udan is India's largest B2B e-commerce, right? There as well, I managed huge amounts of data and tried to help the business move forward through the insights generated by data. Before that, I was at Oyo Rooms and Hyperwatch, short stints, and graduated from IIT Ropert back in the day. I'm also an instructor and mentor at Coding Ninja since the last, I think, close to about 3.5 years now. And I've had the opportunity to help a lot of people really turn the tables, right? Or really get into data analytics and succeed. And that's something I really value, right? And I relate with it because I was struggling at some point myself, right? I was from a mechanical engineering background. I was not from a computer science background. And I think this is something that many people will be able to relate with, right? I didn't see even one message here, or actually just one message I saw that someone came from a computer science background. Rest of the others were not from a CS background. And even if you're from a CS background, right, you need the required skills. No one teaches you Python, SQL, or advanced data analytics in college, right? I mean, rarely do I see that. Even in IIT, we didn't have that. So this is something that I really value, and I hold this in high regard because the kind of skills that we are teaching in Coding Ninjas and through this session as well, we don't see a lot of other we don't see a lot of people teaching these skills, right? So to say. So with that, let's get started, right? And I quickly want to also maybe because I understand that a lot of people want to land a data analyst job, right? And I see that here. A lot of people want to become a better data analyst. So the fastest way to do that is to have a solid roadmap, right? And if you want to call this a hack, you can, because this is the fastest way, right? You need a solid roadmap. You need the right guidance, right? You need a mentor to handhold you to the end, right? So you need a very, very comprehensive, uh, let's say, guidance, comprehensive curriculum, right? And a very, very clear roadmap. And to that point, a lot of courses today, a lot of programs and certifications are helping people do that. But there is this specific program that we have, the PG certification in data analytics from IIT Guwahati, right? ENICT IIT Guwahati. It prepares you to confidently apply your skills in the real world. It's very, very practical in nature. It's very, very real world level stuff. So what that means is that these are the things that are actually asked in interviews. The topics that we teach or the things that we teach, they are the ones that are asked in interviews, and they are the ones that help you excel in your job also. Why is it so practical in nature? Why is it so close to the real world, or actually the real world? Because industry mentors have themselves created this, not a professor, not of course we've had inputs from professors and academicians, but industry folks have really put together this program, right? So we have this PG certification that I'm talking about. uh, it is an AI infused curriculum, right? So we've had inputs from AI because we have the expertise. So why not really use AI within building the curriculum as well? And then obviously you get something really valuable. You get alumni status from IIT Guwahati. I am from an IIT, and I mean, as much as I would want to ignore that, I really get that advantage, right? And mentorship, of course, from industry experts. uh, you get direct connect with industry experts, right? In this program I teach myself, so I'm aware that all the other instructors in the course are industry folks, right? And this is something that you do not get very often, right, in today's day and age. And if you're interested, maybe I'll quickly ask Tavleen to share the form here in the chat, and I see she's done it already. So the PG certification in data analytics by E and ICT is a 6 months program. This form, if you're interested to know more about this program, please fill this form, right? Um, it's a very short form. Just before I present my screen, it will take me 5 seconds or 10 seconds. You can even fill this in that time. So you will receive a call back if you fill the form. And if you're eligible for scholarships, I mean, you will, because you're attending this session, let me promise you something, you will be eligible for a scholarship. Only the folks in the session, you will be eligible for a scholarship. And we will contact you, right, if you fill the form. Right, with that, let's come to Netflix. I just wanted to talk about this because there were a lot of questions around this, right? So, perfect. Now let's talk about Netflix and Power BI. Netflix data. I'll just present my screen and show you how does Netflix data look like. And then what we'll do is we'll first understand the data, and then we move to Power BI to really create those beautiful charts and graphs, create a data visualization that you can then demonstrate on your resume, right? You can write that as a mini project on your resume. You can post it on LinkedIn. And by the way, do tag me and Coding Ninjas when you post it on LinkedIn, and that helps get recruiters attention, basically. Yeah, that helps get their attention, right? So I want complete focus from everyone for the next um 35 minutes, right? 35 minutes, that's all I would need, maybe, right? Or maybe 40 minutes. So let's see. uh Tavleen, I think you'll have to give me sharing access. I don't see that permission right now. Meanwhile, what are the steps involved in data analytics, right? In a life cycle, in a typical data analytics project, what are the steps involved? Can you tell me? Can you tell me the first step? What do we start with? Can you tell me the first step? Okay, one sec. Tavleen, you'll have to give me the sharing access. Can you check? One second. Okay. So everyone is saying cleaning data. Some folks are saying understanding the data, gathering the data. Okay, okay. I should be able to take doubts later. So guys who have raised their hands, let's lower them down. We will take all your doubts in a while, right? Perfect. Thanks for these answers, everyone. Let's see what steps are involved, right? Let me just quickly show you the steps. Let me just start with the first step, and that is defining the problem statement. Because if you don't understand the problem, right, how will you tackle it? No one mentioned this. I do understand that this is, something that's given, right, that's taken for granted. People know that this is to be done, so I'm not really counting you as wrong. but we really need to define the problem statement, right, and understand it from the stakeholders. But the first step, the first actual step is, yes, gathering data, collecting data, right? We need to collect data, we need to mine data. um Define the objectives, yes, Animesh, that does make sense. um Yes, true, Amit. Perfect. So, problem statement, yes, it is the most crucial. But let's understand, right? Collecting data, I can collect data from social media, I can collect data from Google Form, Microsoft Form, or I can collect the data through creating a pipeline that stores directly in a table. So, that is data collection. Let's move to the next one, and that is data cleaning. Most important step. This takes a lot of time, extremely important. uh, you If you have not cleaned the data properly, you may not get the right insights, you may not be able to create the right data science or machine learning model, right? So extremely important, right? And then we talk about manipulation, because the machine learning models understand a particular language, right? And they need data in a particular form. So you may want to transform the data, you may want to add a few columns, remove a few columns, combine a few columns, right? That's where we talk about manipulation. And data manipulation is also important, right? Um, and this again can be done by through Excel, Power BI, Python, any other tool. Let's move to the next one, and that is data modeling. This is basically, let's say you have a bunch of tables, creating those relationships between tables, right? And defining and understanding, what does each field mean, and creating a data model around it. So that's data modeling. And then we talk about analysis, data analysis. This is where you try to derive insights and understand patterns and trends from the data. A typical example is, let's say, a pivot table in Excel. Excel has a feature called pivot table where you can, summarize data in some format, right? Aggregate data and analyze data. So that's data analysis. But the most interesting step, according to me, right, personal choice, is visualization. That's exactly what we are going to study today. So data visualization, creating those beautiful charts and graphs, and you see that here as well in Excel, right? There is this option to create visualizations. I hope everyone can see this, right? So that is all these charts and graphs, right? Map, tree map, radar, surface, all these types of charts. That is data visualization. And the last and possibly the most let's say under rated step is storytelling, right? It is something that's very important. If you have done all the above parts properly, but you've not told an effective story, I don't think you've done a good job as a data analyst, right? So it's extremely important. And it takes practice, right? You cannot start telling a great story on day one. It took me a lot of time. I used to present to stakeholders through presentations, through dashboards, and in the beginning, I was not very good at it. But over time, when I present, people listen because I present with power, right? I present the story in a very very effective manner. So this is very important, data storytelling. And even more so in today's world, when the above skills can be done easily, right, I would say, because this is not rocket science, this is something that can be learned. But storytelling takes time to learn, right? It comes with practice. Not everyone is good at storytelling. So that is something that can help you stand out also. And that also means, how do you sell your story, right? How do you sell your data, basically? With that, let's come to Netflix. And this is the data set. Let's start. I see a bunch of questions in the chat. Okay, no questions. I think these are just pointers that you were, highlighting in the session. Only Power BI, Soumya. We will cover, of course, some bit of Excel data exploration, but majorly Power BI. Super. So let's see the data, right? We have this index. This is unique for each title, right? A title can be some kind of movie or show. This is the ID. This is the ID for this movie, right? Every movie has a different ID. So the ID is unique for each movie. We have the title here. I believe some of you would have seen this movie, Taxi Driver, right? Or there are a lot of different movies, Top Gun, right? Some of you would have seen this movie. Then we had, let's say there are Hindi movies also, actually, right? Agnipath, for example. Right? A lot of movies. We have about how many? We have 5,200 or 5,282 movies. 83 movies actually, because this starts from zero, right? And then what's the type? I don't have movies only, I have shows also, and that's what I'm going to show you. So if I go to home and I apply a filter, I'll just show you there are movies as well as shows, right? So both movies and shows. And then there is this short description. For example, we have this a mentally unstable Vietnam War veteran works as a nighttime taxi driver in New York City, so on and so forth. So that's basically, a description for this movie. And we have description for each of these movies and shows. Let's come to the next one, and that is release year. So release year, 1976. This is basically when was the movie released. And then age certification. Is the movie R rated or PG rated, right? There is this certification, age certification that we get. And then I have the runtime, how long, what's the duration of this movie, right? And this is in minutes clearly. So Taxi Driver is close to about 2 hours, almost 2 hours, right? 1 hour 53 minutes. And then we have the IMDb ID. What is IMDb? Does anyone know IMDb? So IMDb is a platform that rates movies, basically. Yeah, it's a website where we get votes and people rate for movies. So let's say 10 people voted for the movie, right? 10 people rated a movie and gave it a rating of 9. Average rating, let's say, is 9. So that's what I will get here, average IMDb rating or IMDb score and IMDb votes. For example, in this case, 795,000 people voted, and the average score for this movie is 8.3. Fair? And this is the IMDb ID. On the IMDb website, what is the ID of this movie? And you'll notice that this is different from the ID that we had here in this initially, right? So these IDs are obviously different. This is the ID that I have in my data set, but this is the ID I got from IMDb. See, IMDb would also have a way to identify whether this is a unique movie or whether this is, which movie, which ID is linked to which movie. So they have a way to really identify unique movies. Yeah, so every movie has a unique ID basically, or distinct movies, let's say. Perfect. So let's see. IMDb rates movies. Okay. Yes, that is correct, Shivam. Yes. Aram, yes, that's correct. So IMDb does rate movies. This is the score and this is the votes. Can you tell me one of your favorite movies, maybe? I'll show you a list of titles, maybe. Um, okay, so we have these titles. I mean, you can probably have a look, right? These kinds of movies. Can you tell me your favorite movie? Let's probably take your favorite movie, and I'm just scrolling this to show you what kinds of movies I have. And these movies are for the last 70 years, right? Not only last 50 years, but last actually 70 years. Um, right. Hindi, English, any kind of movie, please let me know. Okay. Top Gun, Inception. Okay. Some people have written Inception, super. So that is actually something that I also like. So I would want to, let's say, quickly take that. Where is it? Here. Yeah. So this is Inception. Can you see this? Very famous movie, highly rated. Let's see. 8.8. Yeah. Christopher Nolan. Very famous movie. 8.8 IMDb score and voted by what's this? Maybe 2 million people, right? 2.2 million people. So let's understand this. Let me just go here and write the score and the rating and the votes. 1 second. Let's go back to Inception and let us copy the score and the rating. Score and the votes actually. So this is the score and this is the votes, right? This is Inception for you guys. And let's also look at one more movie, and that is Chota Bheem. Yeah, I just want to make this comparison. I'll just show you in a bit. But I just want to make this comparison. Chota Bheem, yeah. Okay. This is not rated well. I'll take some other Chota Bheem. I have a lot of Chota Bheems in this data set, by the way. Okay, this is 6.4. Maybe another Chota Bheem. This looks good to me. Yeah, right. This looks good. This is basically Chota Bheem and Krishna in Maya Nagri. Let's just write the score and the votes. Can you tell me which is a better movie out of these two? Out of these two, which is a better movie? What do you think? And I have both the parameters here, score and votes. Can you tell me which is a better movie? By the way, Chota Bheem has a better rating. Yes, tell me. Inception, but Chota Bheem has a better rating, right? Why is Inception better? Can you tell me why is Inception better? Okay, let's take it this way. Why is it better? So you're everyone has written Inception is better. Why? That's my question. Okay, more votes. All right, okay. More votes, but you're ignoring score altogether. Okay, let me take, let's say, a movie A, let's say, or maybe someone mentioned Interstellar. Let me take this in that case, right? So let's try to get, let's say, 8.5, right? Interstellar, let's say, has an 8.5. Sorry, 8.5. Uh, let's see. Yeah. And votes, let's say, is number of votes is a bit more actually, right? Let's take number of votes as this is what 22 lakh. Let's take 40 lakh. Yeah. Let's take this. Okay. Tell me now, out of Inception, of course, Chota Bheem is done already, right? Chota Bheem, this is done, but out of Inception and Interstellar, which is a better movie? Can you tell me now? You told me more votes. I gave you a movie with better votes. Yeah. Can you tell me now? Now we have a divided audience clearly. A lot of people writing Interstellar, a lot of people writing, actually, only one person writing Inception. Two people. Okay, three maybe. Right. And now I've put you in a difficult position, clearly. So how do we decide? You told me I just look at votes, right? Many people wrote that Inception is better because it has more votes. But how about then in that case Interstellar, right? Interstellar has higher votes. Is this better? It has a worse rating, note that. Is this still better? I don't think so. So we need to take a combination of both, right? We need to take a combination of both score and votes. Now, to this point, can you tell me what kind of a combination should we take? Can you give me ideas for taking a combination of score and votes? I need to really take into account both, right? Score as well as votes. How can I do that? Tell me. What are some ways I can take into account both score and votes? Is there a formula I can use? Is there some kind of a combination I can use? Yeah. So that's the point, right? Can you tell me, is there some way I can get a combination of both? Very interesting. So a lot of people writing multiply both. A lot of people writing take ratio. So very good. I think this makes sense. Let me just take score into votes. Now this takes both equally, right? Score and votes. There is no bias. I'm not increasing the weightage of the score or the votes. How can I take both? I can simply multiply them. That's one way. Of course, there are many other ways, but this is one way, right? Okay. And I'll do this for all three. And then you'll realize easily you'll be able to identify which is a better movie. Can you tell me now from this which is a better movie? From Inception and Interstellar, which is a better movie? We can compare very clearly now, and you can see that here. Vivek, Interstellar is a good movie. Inception is also a good movie. I've seen both. Both are fabulous movies. Clearly, right? Interstellar has a better composite score. I need the contribution of both score and votes, which is why I will, this helps me understand very clearly that Interstellar is a better movie. So I will create a new column that will multiply both, right? And I'll just do this for every row in the data, and I'll just use this column now. This is data manipulation, right? This is how I can manipulate data. And can you see Chota Beam is only 45 now? This is way worse than Inception and Interstellar. Way worse. Only 5 people voted for it, but it got a rating of 9. Even if it would have gotten a rating of 10, can you see it still got only 50 composite score? So let's now delete this and let us jump to Power BI. I hope everyone is with me so far, right? This is how you really solve this problem of, manipulating data, bringing data into, let's say, into a format that is more understandable. So I will just import data from Excel into Power BI. Let me just show you first. Let me present my screen in a second. Yeah. So Power BI desktop is free, right? Just ensure everyone has it downloaded. If you have a Windows laptop, then it is free for you. MacBook users, you have my sympathies. It is not free for you, but you can use a virtual desktop if you really want to use Power BI, or you can use Power BI online. That is also there. Power BI service, that's called. But Windows users, this is free for all of you. So this is Power BI. I hope you're able to see my screen. I will import data from the Excel that I was just showing you, right? I'll import data from there. Just let me do that. And I will, yes, again, share my screen now. It is imported. So it is creating a connection with the data, right? And I think you can see this. This is the table we were talking about, right? This one, score into votes. This one, this is the new column that we were talking about. I will just import this. I hope everyone can see my screen. Yeah. So then I will load the data. And now the data is getting loaded into Power BI desktop. This is a very, very powerful tool. And you'll just realize that, right? When you see the power, when you see the kind of things that we'll be able to do through this, uh, you'll be surprised because this is extremely powerful. Within the next 15 minutes, we'll be able to create a solid dashboard, solid. And I'll probably, if time permits, I'll even show you some of the dashboards I've built previously. They really help inform, or they really hold a lot of insights. I'll just delete these extra columns. So these columns got added, column 14, because these were null columns, right? Empty columns. These got added automatically. So we can just delete them directly from here. All right. Now let's see. Let's start with filters. I always like to start with filters. And this is a filter. This is called a slicer. In Power BI, a filter is called a slicer. And I can maybe have type, let's say, whether it is a movie or a show. I hope everyone can see the screen. And as you can see, a movie or a show. Yeah. And then I can create another filter for release year. I hope this is clearly visible to everyone. All right. So release year 1953 to 2002. I hope everyone can see this. If you are not able to see this, I will just increase the font for you. Super. I think now it should be a bit better. Yeah. Great. Now, how do you create visualizations? And this is, let's say, a tip that may really benefit you. Always start with a question. So now the question that I would ask first is, across release years, how does the average IMDb rating change? Across release years, across the last 50 years, let's say, or 70 years, how does the average rating change? Right? Average IMDb rating change. So I'll just do that. I'll maybe take a line chart. On the x-axis, I will add release year. That is this. On the y-axis, I will add IMDb score, and not sum, but average IMDb score. Can you tell me which year had the highest average rating? Which year had the highest average rating of, or let's say, of movies or shows? Which year performed the best overall? Can you tell me in the chat? In the chat. Not, don't raise your hands. Let's keep this uh quicker, right? Let's keep this short and crisp. Okay. Yes, it is 1985 clearly with 8.0 score that you can see here. Super. So that's one insight. That's the first question that I answered through a visualization. Next question. Again, why am I starting with questions? Because I've realized that's an approach I've used over the last few years, and I've realized that this is the most powerful one. This works, at least for me, the best. So, next question. Which movie, and this is a burning question, right? Which movie or show is the winner, right? Which movie or show had the best what? Best score, best votes, or best score into votes? How do you decide which is the best movie? Can you tell me in the chat? Should I take IMDb score, IMDb votes, or score into votes? Which one should I take? Which out of these three metrics should I take to decide the best movie? Of course, score into votes, right? Score and votes both. Precisely. Yes. 100%. Absolutely. So that's the new column I have here already, right? You saw in the sheet, I created it there. That was data manipulation, and now I'm directly going to use it. So let me create a column chart and score into votes on the y-axis, right? Average, and on the x-axis, title. Okay, let's just filter for movies for a bit. Can you tell me which is the best movie in my data set? Which is the best movie in my data set? I hope everyone can see this. And this is the aggregate score. This is the uh, composite score, right? Score into votes. Which is the best movie in the data set? Uh, Interstellar? Why is Gauda, Shushmita, this is Interstellar? Why is it Interstellar? It is not there, right, in this data. Even if it is there, it is not at least there in these top 20 or 30 odd titles. Clearly, it is Inception, right? See this? And then I have Forrest Gump, then Django Unchained, then Saving Private Ryan, and then so on and so forth, right? Let's see the show. And I just filtered it, as you can see. Which is the best show? Can you tell me in the chat which is the best show? Many of you would have also seen this probably. Clearly, right? Breaking Bad. So this is the next question that I've answered. The best movie and the best show. Okay, very quickly, I also want to check, and this I should do in the very starting, right? I want to check if there is any bias in the data. If there's any, let's say, skewness in the data, right? For example, I may have a lot of movies for the last 20 years, but I may not have a lot of movies for the, for the years before 2000. So, is there any such inherent bias in the data that I would want to call out before I present the results to the stakeholders? I should always call out if there are any biases. So, let's just see that. I will just select this on the x-axis. I will keep release here, and on the y-axis, I'll just keep, let's say, unique ID. Yeah, just count distinct of ID. Is there a bias in the data? Very clearly, yes. So I have a lot of data points after, let's say, 2010, right? Good numbers after 2010, but before that, very few. For 1969, for example, okay, let me just actually remove the filter. Yeah, now we'll see. For 90, let's say I have before 2000, very few numbers. For example, for 1958, I just have one movie in my data set. Then that's a bias. That's something you need to call out in the data, right? So just ensure you do that, and before you present your results. Yeah. And before, after 2000, we have very good numbers. For example, for 2019, I have 469 movies in my data set. So always be mindful of such biases in the data. Yeah. Just ensure you do that well. All right. Next, I want to understand, let's create a, let's say, a tree map and understand which, or let's say, let's create a donut chart and understand how many movies do I have for each age certification. How many movies do I have for each age certification? Can you see this? Most of them are blank. So I do have a lot of missing values in my data, right? Missing values. And that basically means that, there are a lot of values, a lot of age certifications, right? A lot of movies where I don't have the age certification. So maybe I'll just remove this blank here. Now, can you see this gives me a better picture of the distribution, but because blank does not give me any information. So R, PG-13, PG, and NC-17, these are all the age certifications I have. Most of the movies I have are R rated. So that's the next one. And I will just put that, I'll try to fit this in here. I mean, this is not the best thing I'm doing, but let's do this. Let's keep this here then. Super. What next? I want to understand, on average, does a movie perform better with a higher runtime? Right? Does the duration of the movie affect the IMDb rating? That's what I intend to understand. Let's check that, right? So I have the runtime here. I will just, let's say, create again a line chart. On the x-axis, I have runtime. On the y-axis, I have IMDb score. Yeah, the average IMDb score. And this is what you get. So in this data, there is, of course, an inherent bias, of course, but can you see this? The movies with a higher rating actually got a better score. I mean, the movies with a higher runtime actually got a better score. This is slightly counterintuitive, but I will add on the secondary y-axis the fact that, it has a bias. Basically, the number of movies that I have for each of these runtimes, that will help me take a better decision. So can I keep that here? Maybe. Can I keep that here? So I'll add age, I'll add the number of movies. So the ID basically in the secondary y-axis. So clearly, can you see this? Only one movie with 235 minutes as the runtime. So here it's a long tail basically, right? It's not distributed evenly, the data. Most of the data that I have is around this point. So I should take this with a pinch of salt. I should understand this inherent bias before actually making any decision here. Yeah, so that's the next chart that I would want to, let's say, keep here. And let's just structure this better. You need to present the data in a very, very visually appealing format. So just ensure you do that. Great. Right. Let's create maybe, one last chart, and that should possibly, let me add, let's say, the description here. Yeah, I'll add a card visual for the description at the bottom. So whenever I select a movie, let's say I select Inception, see the description will accordingly change, right? And maybe I'll just reduce the value of this description. I'll just select maybe 15. Now this possibly looks better. Yeah. Let's create one last chart. And that would probably be, I think we used everything here, right? Let's just understand one more thing, and that is maybe the votes aspect, right? So which movie got the highest votes, right? So which movie actually got the highest votes? So I'll create a bar chart now, and I will just add votes on the y-axis and title, actually votes on the x-axis and title on the y-axis. So which movie got the highest number of votes? Inception got the highest number of votes. I'll just drag this here and we see this visualization. I hope this makes sense, right? Now this is a story. This is a story. All these are charts that help me, build a story out of it. And this story I can then, let's say, communicate to the stakeholders. Yeah. So that is, and it just took me about, let's say, 18 minutes, I think, or even less than that to create this story. And now I'll make this more beautiful. I'll improve the visualizations. And what do I do for that? I just go here, go to general in the visualizations pane and go to effects. Let's say I can add a shadow, I can add a border, I can change the color of this possibly. Yeah. And in within a minute, you'll see that this becomes really beautiful. I can change the transparency from here, right? A bunch of things can be done that help me make this visualization more appealing so that stakeholders are not bored when they look at this visual, right? That's the intent, right? So yes, I hope you can see this. Yeah, so we were able to do, and I'll continue to maybe add a few things, but we were able to really make a visualization. We were able to derive insights from the visualization, let's say within 20 minutes. That is the power of Power BI, right? That way, it's extremely powerful. So again, I'll continue to add, let's say I really like to add this shadow and border thing. So I'll just do that. Maybe I'll just reduce the size of this so that the shadow is visible. Yeah, clearly. So this looks better. And again, I'll just change the color. Maybe I can use a different color here. Yeah. And there are, of course, lots of options. You can add backgrounds, colors, anything, right? And I will just add colors for every visual here. And obviously, we can change the transparency as well. So with that, I think we can start with the Q&A now, right? And at this point, I hope everyone is able to recognize and understand the kind of value that Power BI has for data analysts. Within, let's say, 20 minutes, I was able to generate a lot of insights, right? Every chart has some learning, has some insight for me. And I can really utilize those insights to create a story, right? To create a coherent story. Imagine if I have a better data set, if I have a more powerful data set and more time with me, what all I'll be able to achieve through Power BI. Just imagine. right? So that's why I say that Power BI is an extremely powerful tool. All right. I hope this is fine. And with that, I think we should be able to just start interacting with the visual. So let's say I select movie, see entire chart gets changed for a movie. I can even add multiple pages here, right? And that basically will just be like multiple chapters in my story, right? Super. Just before I start with the Q&A, there's something that I would like to call out. So I think some of you would have missed in the starting, some of you joined late. So I mean, as we start the Q&A, I think some of the questions that you asked, right? And I see some more questions already in the chat and in the Q&A around transitioning, right? Around making that switch. So we do have this PG certification in data analytics by E and ICT IIT Guwahati, right? It's a 6 months program. That's a very, very comprehensive program providing you with all the required skills. And you practice real world case studies, Gen AI tools, right? And of course, you get alumni benefits from IIT Guwahati. And if you've already not done that, please fill the form that we've shared in the chat. Yeah, I'll just share it again for people who joined late. So let me just share the form. Yes. So it is here basically. You can fill this. It's a very, very short form. If you're interested to know more about this, right? Or if you're interested in making that transition or, you know, getting into data analytics or improving as a data analyst. All right. Let's come back to Netflix and Power BI. So that's where I would like to maybe, start with Q&A. So you see a very, very powerful data set dashboard here already. You can just hit publish to publish it to your, workspace, and then you can share it within your company. So all that you can do. With respect to the data set, I see some questions. You'll get this online, right? Just search for Netflix TV shows and movies. I'll even share it here if you want. And yeah, let's take it from there. So let's start with questions now. And believe me, I think you are talking about really, making it picture perfect. And that's, yeah, exactly. So you can see it here, right? So we made it picture perfect through adding these colors and charts and graphs. Can you see how powerful this looks? Right? This really has a lot of nuance, a lot of flavor to it, right? No one will be bored while looking at this. At least I don't think so. If that person is bored while looking at this, or does not get interested when looking at this, I think there's some problem with that person then, maybe, right? It's extremely powerful. Right. So let's come to questions. um can you explain transform options while importing data if we have any errors in the data? Sushmita, surely. I mean, I could have done that if I would have had more time, but there is this way to really transform data. Let me just show you. uh, why is it not coming here? There's this option with a pencil icon, and that is this basically. Yeah. So what I can do is I can transform the data. I can change, I can maybe remove errors, remove duplicates, handle missing values, all that I can do through Power Query. Right? That's what the transform option takes me to, basically. That is something we can do within Power Query, Power BI. So Power BI is not just about data visualization, but also about data cleaning and manipulation. Great question, Tanya. How do we know which chart to use for representation? I get this a lot. Even in the course, people ask this a lot. So yes, it comes with time. I mean, it comes with practice, right? How do I know that I need to create a bar chart here, or maybe a line chart here, or maybe a column chart or a pie chart? See, it comes with practice, right? For example, you ask this question and you think that which is the best chart that would represent this information in a manner that gives me the insight most quickly, right? That's the kind of question, or that's the kind of thought process that I have while selecting a chart, right? So that makes it, and it comes with time, right? And when I was starting out as a data analyst or as a product analyst, I didn't actually really hit the nail on the head right in the beginning. It comes with practice. So that's but great question. I hope I was able to answer that to some extent. Um, Runtime affects the day. Runtime versus IMDb score or runtime versus composite score. Great question again, Animesh. So we can do that. I mean, see, I've just taken IMDb score, but you can always, instead of average IMDb score, you can always take score in two votes. That possibly is probably a better metric, right? So very few movies before 2000. Yes, that is true. More questions, guys. Let's take up, I see some more technical questions, but let us now also take up those career questions, right? Let me help you with that also. So one thing that I get a lot, right, one question is, how do I utilize this mini project? I mean, you can take a screenshot and post it on LinkedIn, right? You can really start from there. How do you sell yourself is very, very important. You need to really sell yourself well in data analytics and data science as well, right? You can, I mean, post it on LinkedIn, that will get recruiters attention. And if you can tag me, that will be even better. I'll just try to amplify it a bit, right? I'll repost and then I'll like and probably comment for the recruiters in my network. You should be able to do that, right? So just ensure you do that. Demonstrate in your resume, right? Extremely important. If you are demonstrating this in your resume, I think, you know, people or the recruiters see that whatever skills you've written here in the resume, you've actually utilized them. You've actually practically, made use of those skills. For example, if you've written learned Power BI, made a dashboard, but you've not provided a link, where's the proof of that? But if you've provided a link, it shows them that you really are passionate about this. You have really gone the extra mile of creating a dashboard, doing a mini project, right? And that's something that gives them confidence that this is a good candidate. So selling yourself is also very, very important in data analytics. So do go out, and if you don't have enough, and maybe the program that we have, we do a lot of real world case studies, and I always encourage people to possibly write this in your resume or post on LinkedIn or something. If you're posting on LinkedIn, please, this reminds me, please tag me as well. I'll just share my LinkedIn also here in the chat because I see Shivam and others requesting it. So I've sent it here in the chat, everyone. So you can tag me. I'll try to amplify it a bit. Right. So it starts there. I mean, that's how you really start to get attention. Getting a job is not very straightforward. We are here to help, of course, through Naukri.com and all the other initiatives that we have. But we should be able to get you to the other side. All right. With that, I do think a lot of the questions are now related to um, related to maybe changing profiles, transitioning, improving the resume, all of that. So at this point, I think because there are a lot of questions around this, and that the PG certification in data analytics will be able to answer, right? So I'll maybe quickly take this opportunity to invite the program expert from Coding Ninjas, who will try to answer these questions and help you make the transition. Right? He'll just take 10 minutes to walk you through how this program can really help you move to the other side, right? And can be a game changer for your career, basically. So with that, I'll probably take this opportunity to invite someone from the program experts team at Coding Ninjas who will who will tell you about the program, which will possibly answer a bunch of your questions. So over to you.